Max morning, everyone. My name is Christian Gingras. I'm a Crown Diamond with Max International, and today I am doing day 88. Now, you probably noticed today that we had Webmaster that was actually sharing his training today, which was day 87. The reality is that today was supposed to be WAP's session on 88, but he was kind enough to fill in for day 87 this morning, and because I overlooked the one I was supposed to do on Thursday, thinking it was on Friday. Then I'm doing mine after his so we can maintain with all of the days from day one to day 88. So, folks, listen, we have two more days for this 30-day, 90-day run, sorry. And this is exciting. And you know what I'm really excited about? It's not just the content of the training, it's the fact that we have all these trainings recorded. This has been documented, and we're all going to grab this information. And those of us that are really serious in supporting our organization, supporting our teams, to make this available to you and compile the information to help you, give you a process of a 90-day journey. So this is exciting, really, really exciting. So that's the reason why you didn't see an ad preparing my session, because I know it's recorded, it's on Facebook Live. You can always come back and listen to it. So at this point, what I'd like to do here is to share my screen with you and just to see some of the topic that I want to talk about today on day 88. And one thing that I want to re-emphasize, Eric was talking about yesterday on we're here to assist people in achieving a brighter future. This is the honest to God truth about how I feel about our opportunity, how I feel about network marketing. Because if this industry didn't come into my life, Tammy and I wouldn't live the life that we have right now. We wouldn't have impacted tens of thousands of people around the globe, educating, sharing, inspiring about this wonderful venture. And one of the points that I wanted to talk about when it comes to, thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up. Always, always appreciate that. One thing I'd like to talk about is the first one here. Um, when people are making excuses for why they can get into the business, and at the end of the day, what's going on is often people lack the understanding and the vision of what such an opportunity can do for them because of what they heard, because of what they've seen, because maybe they've tried and they weren't really mentored correctly before, and they made this idea that this kind of business is not really worth it, or they just don't see the big picture. So often people will make excuses, kind of like, I don't have the money. And listen, this is legitimate. I'm not saying that this is not the case, right? I'm not going to say that this is not the case. So, one of the things, thanks for sharing here, you see, uh, and would never have met you and the privilege to know, feel honored. I'm assuming it's loose. I don't see the user, unfortunately, but thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really kind of you. Now, so here's the thing here, folks. Understanding that people often will make excuses for whatever reason, and what I do in these particular cases, folks, is I really try to get an understanding as to where they are, where are the pain, what are they dealing with, and I often I'll cover that as we go in, but I listen. You know, when they tell me and they give me the excuse, often one of the questions I will ask, well, tell me more about that. Because I genuinely want to understand why they can see this. Because listen, if I tell you that I was broke up to my eyeballs and suddenly, you know, at our peak, we're making five figure a month, almost six figure a month, this is very serious. Who in the heck would want to have this kind of money? Think about it. It's because they don't see it, they don't believe it. So my role is to help them see a brighter future. And that's really where it begins. And that's how you start dealing with that. And so as we go through the notes here, is one thing that I see often, and I've seen this over and over and over and over, is people will end up paying for an associate's entry. That is the worst thing that you could ever do. People need to figure out their way in. If they can't figure out their way in, how do you think they're going to manage their authorship? How do you think they're going to manage being here in 6 months from now? It's not going to happen. And because they didn't invest the money out of their hard earned money to start their business, what keeps them on board? They're not going to they're going to blame you and quit. You know, you paid for me and it didn't work and that's it. See, people need to understand and need to get a better vision. And this is our job and this is our role. So this is my goal here today to give you some ideas of how I go about it. One of the things, if you look at number 3 here, what can we do to raise funds needed to launch the business? Well, one thing that's important to keep in mind is we have products. We have products that we can sell. Yes, we want to make the big money. We want to sponsor people. We want to do all these things. We want to get started and build our network. Absolutely. But how do we get started? My recommendation is sit down with your upline leader. And if your upline leader doesn't really have a plan, then go above them. I guarantee that someone above, someone in your upline leadership knows exactly what you need to do. And the fact here is, I'm going to give you some ideas. Is again, there's people in Ghana, there's people in Nigeria, there's people in Canada, there's people in the United States, there's people from the Philippines, there's people in Australia, New Zealand, El Salvador, all over the world. So obviously, in each of your respective markets, you obviously have an understanding of the value of things and how to create value for people to turn around and give you their money to be able to exchange these products. But I can tell you that it will have a lot to do with your understanding of what these products can do for them. What is the exchange for them to give the money for them to try the product? And what you can do is, if you can't afford buying the product, if you work a consignment program with maybe the person that introduced you, but be very careful with that. Do not take that for granted. If you work with an upline leader that is willing to lend you some products and consignment so you can sell them with a profit, give back the money to the person that is your upline leader to compensate for their product, and you keep the difference. Where there's a will, there's a way, folks. And I'm telling you, our products are very important. The key is for you to create the value and create the need. And the difference goes in your pocket. The next time you sell another product, same thing. Okay, let me just pause this thing here so we don't get disturbed for at least an hour. Here we go. Okay. So what's important here is we have products that people need and people want, but before they want them, they need to have a better understanding of the value. So this might be your approach, and it might be a lot of different ways that you can go about it. But folks, having no money, it's not a good excuse for me. Because I'm telling you, there's so many ways that you can make the money. You just need to negotiate a way for you to get in by working with people who have an invested interest for you to get in. Does that make sense? So, in moving forward and go on to the next point is, what's important as once you figured out that you're okay, now you know what to do. You have just enough to get your initial package. Maybe it's an auto ship package. Maybe you can just eat 1 week and sell the rest, so you can turn around and buy your next month, because you have to remember the next month's coming, right? So at the beginning, it might require a little bit of know-how and everything else. But once you figure this out and now you're in business, some of the things that's going to happen as you start building the business, some people will retaliate if you try to assist them. And this is something, it's really strange, but it's the reality and honest God truth, right? Some people you'll try to help, and trying to help them, they become very resistant. Maybe because of the way they go about doing things. Maybe it's the way you go about doing things. One of the things that I do on a regular basis is I always ask people permission. Always ask people permission. So if I talk to Mark or Mary or Mohammed or Ahmed, says, listen, would you be open for me to show you a few things? And here's the thing. If you follow these guidelines, I can really, really cut down the learning curve for you to earn an income faster. Are you open to this? So But there's some cases where people will argue with you. And here's the thing, I don't argue with people. If people choose not to follow the guidelines that I'm going to give them that got me to become a crown diamond, who am I? Right? I'm here to guide. I'm not here to dictate. And this is something that you have to keep in mind if someone is um, um, kind of resistant to your support. Work with people that are looking for your support. If they don't need your support, hey, you know what? They could be me better than you. And if that happens, I mean, I bow. I mean, yes, I want that in my business. I want people that don't need me. But generally, when people start, they need help. And then if they're not willing to get the help, move on to someone that's willing to work with you. This is something very, very important. Another thing that he talked about is um, taking it away from people. Uh, is that the one? Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, number five. Um, one of the things that I try to do, one of the things that I try to do when I work with someone new or someone that is resistant to the opportunity or someone resistant to business or someone that started but 10 minutes later they want to quit. You know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe it may not be 10 minutes, but you know what I mean. They just started and poof, something happened that they didn't like. Oh, they want to quit. One of the things that I try to do is I help people for them to see the light, right? Um, if I can help people see the light, I will do all that I can. I will give it everything that I own, everything that I have, the knowledge that I have. I will share my stories. I will invite people come in, and this is my goal. But except that in some cases, some folks may not be open to it, and when they're not, I always politely um, understand their point of view, and I thank them for taking the time because remember, tomorrow is another day. And I'm going to come back to that later on as we go through the other points. Okay, so I'll come back to that a little later. But another thing that I do is I often take it away from people, but not in a disrespectful way, in a very respectful way. This is something that you need to make sure that you always maintain as you interact with a prospect. Always respect their point of view because from that point no, that from that point now, that's what they see. My job is to try to share some light in some areas that he's not considering or he hasn't even begin to consider because he has never really seen that side of what it is that we can do or we can earn. Okay. So one of the things here is I turn around, I may say, listen, John, maybe this is not for you. It's maybe the timing's not right. Or something I may say is, I had, I really thought that this could be something that you would really, really benefit from. But if it's something that you're not open to, listen, I respect it. I may add something like, in my case, it has completely changed my life and has changed tens of thousands of people's lives around the world. But I understand that this may not be for you. And I do this in a respectful manner so I don't offend them or insult them because I know tomorrow could be another day. And trust me, I know now doesn't mean it's going to be a no tomorrow. And we'll come back to that, right? Which is the next point, number seven, right? See, I know is most of the time a not now. And that is a fact. When someone says no to you, often we put ourselves into so much pressure when we approach someone about this business venture, and we fear the no that we tend to overreact when someone says no. When someone says no, for me, it's not right now. So this is often the way I will finish the conversation. I would say, John, Mary, Paul, Mike, Mohammed, um, I get right now that this is not the right time. Would you be open for me to get back to you in a month from now? If that's too soon, what about 6 months from now? Let me tell you how things are going. And I'll tell you how important it is to keep the conversation open because sometimes announcements, news, information that you didn't have at the time you spoke to them could be revealed that could be completely a game changer for someone. So because someone says no today does not mean it's going to be no forever. So that's the reason why it's very important to respect them, not to dictate them, and to get upset because they can't see past maybe what they're able to see at the moment, because there might be a moment that you'll have information that could be exactly what they needed to hear. So this is what I mean by number seven, where I know is most of the time not now. Okay. Now keep in touch. Again, it gets to my next point. It's really interesting that Eric talks about these things because it flows into my logic on how I actually build a business, right? So keep in touch to stay informed and continue the conversation. And this is the thing, you want to keep in touch, and because you want to continue the conversation later on. Find a way to keep the communication line open, to share, for example, as I said earlier, the announcements, updates, news. Maybe a new country is opening, and maybe they're from that country, or maybe they know good people from that country, that they turn around and a light just pop right up and says, "My God, yes, this right? They're opening up Kenya, really?" And that could be a game changer completely. Or a new product is being introduced, or a promotion could be, maybe they didn't tell you, but maybe the money was a problem and they were a little bit shy to tell you about the fact that they can't afford getting involved, and suddenly there's a promotion that makes it easier to earn or to get on board. You see what I'm saying? So this is why always stay in touch, always keep informed, always keep the conversation warm and the line open, right? And one thing that's number nine is you need to be more creative and plan, do, review. What do I mean by that? What I'm saying here is, um, sometimes you need to understand and accept the fact that you may need to evolve. Maybe the way you speak, maybe the way you communicate, maybe your knowledge base when it comes to our industry, or maybe the knowledge on the world generally. I'm just kind of fishing for ideas here. But what I'm telling you is, try to, well, let me rephrase that. Go back to the videos for the past 90 days, and I guarantee you that there will be something in there that you can pick on, that you can improve upon. And once you're improving on something and you go and attempt and try something, then because you're planning maybe an approach or planning a different strategy, and then you execute it, what you need to do is you need to review. And often people don't review. They do things, sometimes they shoot from the hip and they might hit the bullseye, but because it was not planned and they don't really keep track of what they've done, there's no review. And they didn't realize out of the 10 different things that they've done, there were maybe two or three things that if they kept doing, they could have hit their crown diamond, or they could have hit their diamond, or they could have qualified for the next big incentive trip with the checks that comes with it. You see my point? So you need to also understand that it's important to evolve and learn. Sometimes life gives us little gifts, and these gifts sometimes comes in a form of a punishment, or something that we're very disappointed about. And something it's an sometimes this could be an opportunity for you to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, why is this happening? And you may recognize that, why is this always happening to me? You're asking yourself the right question, but you may never follow through on it. And that's my point, is you may need to reinvent yourself. You may need to evolve a little bit. And then plan an approach and execute, do it, and then review. Keep track of what you've said, what you've done, and the results that you've got. And that way you have a measuring system, better speaking, to be able to move up the ladder. This is what Tammy and I do all the time. Today, we just introduced a brand new tool called Board. Many of you may or may not be aware of this. If you go to activeteamgroup.com and you go to the site, you'll notice on the pin board, there's a little button there, and it's the Active Team Group board. Download it, connect to our board, and just see all the stuff that's there. Everything you possibly would need to build your business is available. It's in English, it's in French, almost finished, and we're working on a Spanish very soon. So the fact here is, evolve, plan, do, and review. And we recommend that you also be more inventive in, and just like, did I put that twice? You need to be more creative. And we recommend you to be Oh, yeah. Sorry, I put that twice. Okay. Well, you have two examples of it. Okay. Number 11, what's very important here is increase the numbers of contacts you make. Folks, one of the biggest challenge that I see with people is often they tend to approach two, three, four of the best people they can think about, and that's it. And they don't go beyond that. Well, no wonder things didn't work out for them. So, what's important to understand is this is a business. We're in a sorting business. You probably heard this often. And the key is to educate and inform. And we're not salespeople, folks. We build networks. And through these networks, we have our products that are being utilized and consumed, which in turn some will be selling and some will be building other networks. You want to be successful in network marketing? Learn how to network, build relationship, maintain relationship. And one of the things that's probably one of the most important aspects in being successful in this kind of business is empathy. Be empathetic to others, where they are, where they stand, and why they feel the way they feel, and work around that. And I assure you, you will have an enormous amount of success. So I want to thank you for spending your time with me here today. I hope the information I shared with you was valuable. I know that it's been for me and Tammy, and we really want you to get up there. I love our company, Max International. I love what we represent. I love the difference that we make in people's lives. And I hope for you to get the same. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye for now.